Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dr. Goodspeed. Ms. Fuentes, again, welcome. You've had quite a journey that brought you here, not just immediately, but across the span of your life.
Yes.
When you joined the labor union, what were the most powerful effects in your life, both economically and in terms of your confidence and security for yourself and for your family?
It's one of the best things that I've been a part of. I knew nothing about a union until I started working for New Flyer. And it has changed not only my life, but many lives of my members. That also, it has shown me unity to its fullest. That when we come together, we can make a difference. So me working with my fellow coworkers, union members, the executive board, doing everything that we can together to make not only the company better, but the union better, has, with the help of God and the union, it's just taken me places I never thought that I'd be. I mean, here I am before you today testifying and saying how important this infrastructure bill is to not only me, but my coworkers, to New Flyer, St. Cloud, Anniston, Crookston. There's many members of us who rely on this, and we appreciate that. We appreciate not feeling that we're drowning, that we are finally above water, that everything's going to be okay. We're not going to shut our doors, thanks to this bill. So that is what the union has done for me.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Harris, you mentioned climate mitigation and risks in the course of your testimony, and there's been some discussion about inflation. I'd love to hear your opinion on the correlation between climate risk and inflation. It strikes me that insurance costs are a pretty elementary household cost, and we're seeing them soar as insurance companies have to grapple with new and unprecedented fire and flooding risks that are caused by climate change driven by carbon pollution. It strikes me that we are seeing in certain areas reduced production of food products because of, again, flooding and drought and climate disruptions. And when production reduces and demand stays the same, guess what? Prices go up. We are seeing health costs go up for families, both from the pollution associated with burning fossil fuel, but also from the disasters and the health effects of those disasters associated with burning fossil fuel. What are your thoughts on the role that climate change plays in the inflation that we continue to see?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. I think you're exactly right on the positive correlation between climate change and inflation. And just so a few further points on that. The first good example, I think, is around energy production. And we can look, for example, at rising energy prices, not just due to, for example, Russia's aggression in Ukraine, which spiked the price of crude quite sharply in the wake of the invasion, but also more broadly due to various disruptions. The perfect example is what happened in Texas several years ago with that climate event that not only cost the lives of between 200 and 700 people from Texas, but also costs between 80 and 130 billion, according to a report from regulators. So, I think that with energy production, there's a real opportunity to address climate change and actually to drive down prices. So if you look, for example, at various models looking at the impact of cheaper electricity coming out of the IRA, you see that after 10 years, it'll drive down electricity costs for American families by 2.2%. After 20 years, that more than doubles to around 5%. These are meaningful cuts. And so not only is legislation like the IRA reducing the harmful costs of these climate disruptions, but also making electricity cheaper for American families.
I would add that one of the characteristics of our dependence on fossil fuel is that we then become dependent on pricing decisions that are made by a foreign cartel the notion that we can have energy independence in the United States with fossil fuel is a complete fantasy, because the price of fossil fuel is set by a foreign cartel that plays with production in order to drive up price. And then we've seen over and over again that American fossil fuel companies over and over again presented with the choice between following the cartel inflated price and charging American consumers more, or continuing to run a profitable business and letting the real market dictate the price of their product. Inevitably, they ride up with the cartel pricing, and that's one of the reasons we've seen such astonishing profits associated with the price gouging that the cartels opened up and that the American oil companies followed. And with that, let me turn to my ranking member for his questions, Senator Grassley, and we'll proceed from there.
Dr. Goodspeed, you were acting chairman of the